Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Changemaker series. Really delighted to be with you this afternoon. If you're watching me live, drop me a hey in the comments. There is a slight lag on Facebook, so you'll probably be typing now, and then in about 30 seconds, I'll see that you're responding, but that's fine. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Heidi Mavir. I'm the founder of EOTAS Matters. We work supporting parents and carers, predominantly in neurodivergent households, who have children and young people who need to do education differently. And so as part of our Changemaker series, we're interviewing a number of professionals from the fields of education, mental health, wellbeing, SEN, the whole thing. My guest today is the lovely Debs from Aced Qualifications. So we're going to have a bit of a chat about Deb's work, what she does, where she is, how you can get involved with her work. We've just had a bit of a chat before we came online, and I can already see that there's going to be loads of synergy between the way that she works and how this might work for some of our families. So I'm really, really pleased to have you with us today. Just want to say both Debs and I are neurodivergent, so if we are not finding words, that's why. Also, it's Friday afternoon. It's Friday afternoon, and our brains probably aren't what they would be if you were doing this on a Tuesday afternoon. So, hello. So nice to be here. Nice to be here. Yeah.
Thank you.
So, let's get a little bit of background on you. Do you want to tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do and how you got here? Like not physically here, but to be here today.
Sure. So I started with a background in teaching. I taught for 10 years, art, textiles, photography, textile art, and loved my subjects, teaching level 2 and level 3 predominantly. So GCSEs and level 3s in terms of BTECs, love vocational qualifications. And kind of backed out of teaching for a number of different reasons. Family life, also the setup wasn't working in my subject area. I felt like a lot of education was going down a particular route for the creatives, down a path that I wasn't quite happy with. A lot of restrictions with creative subjects, and particularly in design technology as well, how the curriculum was made up. So I kind of fell out of love of teaching my creative subjects, which was a real shame because creativity and art and kind of is my passion, is my thing, and working with young people. So after leaving teaching, I did a couple of things for a while with my family, and then I was working as a course developer and assessor for NCFE courses, online courses. And that's where my eyes were really kind of opened to the world of home education and the way that these kind of creative vocational courses were just so hard to find as a home educated learner. And I just wanted to be able to provide something that would able to help others be able to get a qualification if they wanted it in those subjects. So I started Aced Qualifications the latter end of 2022. Started with our art course, and since then we've also added photography and sport as well. So basically qualifications that, you know, we know that people love taking, but not necessarily were able to facilitate that because of possibly the coursework aspect and the vocational aspect of it. It's a lot harder for people to take. So that's why we set up, or I set up Aced Qualifications, and they're the courses that we provide. Yeah.
So my washing machine is very noisy right now, so I muted myself. I apologise. It's got 3 minutes left. I timed this badly. So NCFE, that's the qualifications that you offer. What does that stand for, and how does that look? Can you just talk us through like what that looks like for a learner?
Yeah. So NCFE is just like it's an awarding body like OCR or AQA. It's just the awarding body. I think it's Northern Certificate something. I probably should have that on the tip of my tongue, really. But basically, it's the awarding body name. So they're qualifications that I had previously taught within a mainstream school. So they are, regarded highly. Majority of the time they're recognised as an equivalent, but I always say please double check with your local college whether, particularly if you're relying on it in place of a GCSE, just to make sure. And actually, most of the time it's brilliant positive news, and the odd time people have said, oh, actually their college wasn't able to accept it in place. I've given a few hints and tips and to ask them to go back and speak to this person, and here's some information. And they've actually come back to them and said, oh, yes, we will take it in place of a GCSE. So, yeah, kind of the success rate in that terms have been really good. But yeah, we always say double check just in case.
Yeah, for sure. This is one of the challenges for home ed families. And also, I know you have some EOTAS cases, right? So you've had someone have EOTAS awarded, and they have part of you as part of their EOTAS package. This is part of the challenge, isn't it, for home editors, is that just because you've got a home ed child doesn't necessarily mean that they don't want to pursue formal qualifications, but they do want a different way of learning. And when you were talking about it, I was thinking that's why this is a perfect fit. So your programs are online, yes? Yeah. They're remote learning packages. So the learners aren't required to be on screen with you or take part in tutorials or any of that scary stuff that we know that particularly for our neurodivergent kids can be a massive barrier. That's not how this works, right?
No, so it's quite a good balance, really. So a lot of it is all done online. A learner can access all the resources, watch pre-recorded materials, but if they want support and need help, want to ask me a question, they can drop me a line and have, that kind of tutor or assessor support throughout as much as they need. Some learners just like to get stuck in and, then say, here's my work. And other learners, I'll get questions quite regularly, just asking, would you be able to have a look at my work? What do you think? Can you help me with that task, please? So it's kind of that hybrid of having that support and hand-holding if you want it, but as well as here are the resources, and you can work at a pace that works for you. And that's the beauty, is that the course, just like a GCSE, you could do it in 2 years, but actually you could take a lot longer, or you could do it in 1 year if you were just focusing on just a couple of subjects. So we have a lot of learners that say want to complete it in a year, but they're only focusing on that one and maybe one other as well. So I think like home educator learners kind of tackle their GCSEs and qualifications in a completely different way and just focus possibly on a couple of core or meaningful subjects at a time, rather than struggling with, having to focus on 8, 10, 12 different subjects all at the same time, which is just completely overwhelming.
Yeah. And it gives them the flexibility to do it at their own pace and in their own time. So if you've got a learner who is on a different biological clock, for example, if you've got a child whose circadian rhythm is out, they can access their sessions whenever suits them, right? They don't have to, there's no requirement for them to do them in a particular time, or there's a lot of flexibility there for that.
Yeah. And our most favourite thing, there's no exams. So it's all portfolio assessed. So all their work is assessed. It's not just a crazy exam, which, I can talk to you about exams for the rest of our session if you would like to, on all the terrible things I feel about exams. It's just a pointless exercise. But yes, that's not what we're here to talk about. So yeah, no exams required.
And I guess for the subjects as well, it lends itself. That's one of the challenges, I think, when you're doing traditional GCSEs, is even those more creative subjects, this might be why you fell out of teaching or why you fell out of love for teaching, even those more creative subjects, the way that they're assessed is kind of like strips the creativity out of the process for the learner, right? Whereas this is a bit more, yeah.
And some people might not enjoy the case that it's a pass or not yet achieved type of course for the creatives anyway. The sport is a little bit different. But I do actually really love that, because it's more about the creative process. It's about having the freedom to develop techniques and explore mediums and really kind of just get into the creative journey, rather than being worried about it being like skilled outcome being assessed. And I think a lot of learners really love being creative, but there's a lot of pressure on being perfect. And I think you need to be allowed to enjoy the process and have that kind of pressure of performing taken away. So I quite enjoy the point that, or the fact that it's a pass or not yet achieved kind of course for those subjects anyway.
And if it's a not yet achieved, you've still got time. There's no like cut off, or it's like you're working towards it, rather than it being like, oh, you failed that.
Exactly. So there's no fail, you know, there is no fail. It's just you haven't got there yet, you know.
I love that. So what kind of, so you've got photography, art and sport. They're the three that you currently offer. What might that look like for a learner? What do you cover? Give me, like, talk about your favorite things that you cover. I won't ask you to give me the full kind of like rundown of what's in every curriculum, but what sort of things are covered?
So the creatives, they follow a path. We divide them up into modules or kind of self-contained projects. So you'd have a theme. Right at the beginning of the course, there's a little bit more hand-holding in terms of, you know, look at this, do it in this way, present it like this, or here's a suggestion of how we do it or how it could be done. And then as you kind of gain confidence and picked up skills along the way, the learner has a lot more autonomy on the work that they produce. So they then choose the subject area, they choose the theme, choose the craft area. I mean, art and design is such a wide, open subject. You could literally do anything, you know, whether that's ceramics or fashion or digital artwork. It's all kind of art encompassing. So yeah, we do start off with themed projects, but again, they can kind of go off on a complete and utter tangent. And that's one thing I do say to the learners. Obviously, I need to give them a starting point, because sometimes if you say you can do absolutely anything, I have no idea where I would start. So you need to kind of give a kind of parameter of how to start, just to kind of nudge the process. But I sometimes have learners to say, oh, is it okay if I do this? And I'm like, yeah, do it. You know, can I do this instead of that? Absolutely. If that's what you want to do it. I'm just setting up tasks to inspire you. But if you're already inspired and you're running kind of like ahead, you know, in that direction, please do it. And absolutely, it's welcomed, you know.
I absolutely love that. So what kind of, what ages is this suitable for? Because I know with home ed, like home ed families, they don't kind of generally approach things in terms of when you get to 15, you do your GCSEs.
Right.
So
that's one of the most amazing things is, you know, all those kind of rules are kind of thrown out the window. So absolutely anyone, there's no age requirement. So it's whether you think that your learner can access the course. I have sample modules on my webpage, so people can have a look and have a go, even if they just want to use the project as, you know, something to do with their learner at home. But that will give them a bit of an idea of whether they think that their learner can access the resources, the themes, and if it's something that they would actually enjoy. A lot of home educated learners start a little bit earlier. And then, a lot of our learners take a little bit longer to complete the course. So they might start earlier, but do it over maybe 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I really like that it has that. I'm kind of thinking about, I mean, you might be able to speak to this because you have someone who's on a EOTAS package accessing it, but I like the idea that it's very low demand and very kind of like child or learner led. So that means that if you wanted to, as a gentle introduction back into learning after a child or young person has had a period of time out of education, sounds like it's a nice, easy, gentle transition back into beginning to think about that without the pressure of you turn up at Tuesday at 3:00, there's 8 other learners on the call, you need your camera on, you'll be expected to take part in the comments. It feels like, and I think for our children and young people who have been out of school, especially I'm thinking about for a while, or who have not been in mainstream because they're home editors, just that kind of sense of playing into that as a strength rather than seeing that as a barrier feels like a real win for me. You know, like I just feel like I'm thinking about some of the families that we've got, and we've got some children and young people who are incredibly creative, and this would be right up their street. And I've even had conversations this week with families saying, my kid wants to do photography GCSE, but I can't find an exam centre and I can't find anywhere they can do it. This is a workaround for that, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And on top of that, I think our kind of mantra or our ethos is all about positivity. And it's that encouragement. Some children, especially the ones that have come out of mainstream for whatever reason, you know, they've had their confidence kind of taken away, or things have been challenging or difficult, or they haven't had their work recognized because they've had to abruptly stop. That's often something that I hear quite often. They feel really angry and frustrated that, you know, they've started year 10 and they actually had, you know, a whole portfolio written for their GCSE PE, and for them it feels like it's all been wasted. And it must be so difficult to start again, and so I think it's so imperative that they get a space where they feel safe and confident. Obviously that takes time, but really kind of hear that positivity and having that kind of, you know, just, yes, actually that piece of work that you did, or it's quite similar to this theme, show it, add it into your portfolio, please include it, let me have a look at it. I'll really be pleased to have a look at that work that you completed. I'll be really interested to see that work that, you know, they thought actually it was wasted. And if they feel that they've got an outlet that they could possibly you know, take credit for in the future is kind of really worthwhile. But generally that kind of supportive, encouraging, caring kind of online community that's what my goal is. You know, I'm not saying that we're completely there right now, but that's what, you know, we're aiming for.
Yeah, I think from personal experience, I had a child that crashed out of school, had a long period of time when they weren't in school, they weren't well enough to be in school. And when they eventually re-engaged with education, it was in an alternative provision, and it was an SEMH, you know, alternative provision. And they had an incredible art teacher there who got my son through his art GCSE in 4.5 months, because that's pretty much all they did, because it was all he could manage. But also he was really hyper focused and really passionate about it, and just so thrilled to be able to be making something and doing something that didn't feel like really heavily laden with academic expectation. And he flew and absolutely loved it. And I feel like there's some parallels. I know it's slightly different. That was an in-classroom situation. But I feel like there's some parallels with that. When you've got a child who's had a negative experience in education, giving them an outlet where they can be creative, but also where you're not up against that thing where people are like, we sometimes get this, don't we, with creative subjects, where they're like, all right, well, that's all very nice, but, you know, are they going to get a qualification? Well, yes, they are, actually. So sit down, shut up. I really like that. I like what you said about mindset, and I know that mindset is something you're really hot about. Will you talk to us about your freebie? Because you've got a freebie that you offer to people who want to have a little bit of a feel for what you do and how they can access you, and gives them a bit of an introduction to your work and your ethos. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we occasionally have freebies. I would love to have more, and kind of in the future, that's not what we're here to talk about, but in the future I would love to have more kind of pre-packaged projects just out there for people to access. But we've had a couple of freebies over the last year that have proved really, really successful. And I've had like 300 requested that I've given away. And this one's kind of an updated version of that. And it's called My Mindful Journal. And it's a free PDF that you can print out different pages. You can, print out as many as you like as one to kind of create your bespoke journal, or you can use it on iPad if you've got something like Good Notes or something like that. But it's really about nurturing personal growth and what else can I say? Practicing reflection and kind of just to encourage positivity and making good habits and growth mindset. So,
and is that for learners or for parents and carers?
That is for learners. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So people always ask, and we don't shy away from these conversations. If someone wanted to come and start working with Aced Qualifications, how much does it cost?
So we're trying, like I'm sure most people in this area would say, that they try to keep prices as low as possible. So my photography course is currently $480 for the whole thing. The art course is $600, and that's kind of a buy now fee. It's slightly more money if you want to pay for it via a subscription method, so you can pay for it monthly as well. Yeah, just that includes the resources, that includes as much successor help as you need, remembering that actually some people might take 3 or 4 years to complete, and that's absolutely fine. I'm here as long as you need me until you've completed. And also registration and certification on kind of successful completion with the awarding body as well. So there's no
whole thing, the whole qualification.
That's the whole thing.
So for someone who's got a child or young person who's currently out of school or is home edding, it's an accessible option for a bit of a, let's try this. You're not overcommitting yourself in terms of, like, it's none of my business what people can and can't afford, but it in terms of comparing it to, for example, paying privately for a GCSE, when you're actually only paying for the exam, you're not paying for the tuition. Like for like, it's really affordable and really flexible.
Yeah. So if you wanted to go down the subscription method, which is probably how I would do it if I was to pay for the course, you're looking at 1 month being £25 or £30 for the month. That's going to be about the same as 1 hour's worth of tuition. And then you're going to have to factor in exam fees, etc. afterwards as well. So yeah,
really affordable, really accessible. I love it. And can people start at any time? Like they don't have to wait for the academic year or anything?
No, because they can complete at a pace that suits them. They can start at any point in the year. So there's no kind of, enrollment windows, or there's no point stopping people from enrolling just to kind of increase a little bit of excitement. If they need to start and they want to start, then there's no problem starting. So amazing. Yeah, at any point of the year.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I want to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do an art presentation. Okay, amazing. So we're going to point people. I can see that you've got some of your community here watching you. So Samantha is saying, Aced Qualifications are brilliant. My son is loving the photography course. And Magda is saying, don't hesitate. My daughter loves it. Hi, Debs. So some of your people are here, and I always think it's a real indicator of someone giving really good quality provision when people who have nothing to gain by being here with them are here in the comments telling people how amazing you are. So, and what's happening next? So you've got, this is what is on the horizon? Share things you're excited about. That's what I want to know next, then we'll call it a day.
Well, I'm hoping to add more courses as you know, time goes on. We're looking at whether it's possible or not at the moment. So we'll kind of keep your eyes peeled if we're able to introduce a graphics course from September. But yeah, we don't want to have too many courses because, you know, we want to be kind of specialists in what we're providing and making sure that everything that we do provide is of really high quality. I just wouldn't want to add too many different subjects into the bucket and then it will be watered down, you know. It's mostly me behind the scenes. I have a couple of other people that help in the background for additional kind of specialist knowledge and support, and they're brilliant. But yeah, there's only so many hours in the day, so I'm just hoping to get our word out and let people know that, you know, we're here and we're offering this if you need us. And you know, that's why we're doing it. I do get, you know, it's no word of a lie, I get weekly emails with people saying, you know, thank you. This has been something that I've been looking for. I'm really pleased to have found a way that, you know, my child can study a subject and get a recognised qualification in something that they really love and they're really passionate about. And, you know, they're really worried that they weren't able to do that. So that's why we're doing it. But on top of that, it's a way of kind of acknowledging their amazing abilities. And if I can give just like a little ounce of confidence to a child that's really possibly had it knocked out of them because of mainstream education or having to leave the system, then yeah, that's what I'm striving to do. And yeah, that's why I do it.
I love it that we have, like, we've seen real success stories within the industry, within the field. You know, I'm thinking about the likes of Mind Jam, who specialize in game-based mentoring, and they started in a tiny way with a couple of mentors, and you know, and gradually more and more LAs have got to know them and their work, and more families have got to know them and their work, and now they're kind of like one of the biggest providers in the independent alternative provision field. And I think we need more people who are like, do you know what? This isn't working and I'm going to do it differently. And the more that our families are able to find providers like you and kind of like support providers like you and get their children and young people engaging with providers like you, the more that there is the chance that local authorities will be more likely to be like, okay, so maybe we're not going to go for IGCSEs, or maybe we are, but we're going to use this as an addition. And I think that that's real, because I see this as a real kind of like barrier breaker for those children and young people for whom mainstream academic learning has not been a work. This is a fix as far as I see it. So
yeah,
I'm excited for you.
We're kind of known within a few LAs, and hopefully we'll kind of get known to a wider audience. But yeah, for some of our learners that do have EOTAS packages and they've requested our course, they've been accepted by, I think I've got about 5 different LAs that have come through that way.
Amazing, because it's a no-brainer for me. It's like, for a local authority to justify spending money, they have to be able to show that they're going to meet an outcome. If an outcome in a child's EHCP, if we're talking about EHCP kids, if an outcome in a child's EHCP is that they'll have a recognised qualification by the time they finish their key stage, and you're there and you've got an option for them to engage online, it's like for like, it's very affordable. Like you say, it's not, you know, independent tutors are amazing, but some LAs are paying upwards of £100 an hour for independent tuition. Whereas this is much more accessible and also like much more likely to be successful because of the facility. So it's exciting. I'm really excited. I'm so pleased we've connected. So people who want to come and find Debs, please go and have a look at their website, acedqualifications.co.uk. You can get their free mindful journal. The best place to get that is on their Facebook page. I have linked that in the comments as well. And there's a little quick link. And if you're struggling with all of that and I'm talking too fast for you, just go to Facebook and search for Aced Qualifications. and you will find your way to Debs, and you can pop them a message or find out a bit more about what they've got going on. But I'm so pleased to have spent this time with you, and thank you so much for the work you do. I'm excited. I'm like, this is exciting stuff. I love it when I see things like this. I'm like, I can see so much potential here. So, and if people want to find you and reach out to you, they can do that through the website. Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Facebook, Messenger, emails. Yeah. Any form you would like to
Carrier
get in contact.
pigeon.
Yeah.
Okay, amazing. Thanks so much for joining me today, Debs. I really appreciate it. It's been lovely to get to know a little bit more about your business. And
Thank you for having me.
Lovely to spend some time with you. Goodbye, everyone. We're going to end the live now. Bye, everyone. Bye.
Yes, bye-bye.